Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
All of our guests today are brought to you by Basant Motors. Learn more about Basant at BASANT, BasantMotors.com. We'll save the poll question for next segment. Okay, let's do that. The Boston Bruins season is over. We've been talking a lot about it already this morning. Panthers over the Bruins 4-3 in overtime, Game 7. Joining us to talk about it from stunned Boston, shocked Boston, CBS Boston, Michael Hurley. Michael, thanks for doing this on short notice. How are you, sir?
Stunned. You said it. Happy to be here, though.
What stunned is one word. What's the reaction in Boston to this news?
It's just hard to believe, and for me at least, it's not that this team entered the playoffs invincible. Like if they lost to Toronto or whoever came out of the Metro Division, I think that could be understood, but you got to beat Florida in the first round. So, and it's not just that. Even going into Game 7, I said, well, Game 7's a coin flip, but when you lead 3-2 at home with a minute and a half to kill off just to get to the next round where you can kind of wipe this one away and move on and have a learning experience, I'm still a little stunned they gave that up. And then, as we all know, once you get to overtime, it's in the hockey gods' hands at that point. So just I can't believe that they didn't beat the Panthers. That's really what it comes down to.
Who's getting the blame, Michael?
I think the coaches. Jim Montgomery is getting a lot of criticisms. He mixed. This team was the best team in NHL regular season history, and there was a lot of tinkering, and some of it was unnecessary. You had guys going in, guys going out, and to me, the biggest gaffe. This is my opinion, was trying to pretend Linus Ullmark is a horse. He's just not. He started 48 games this year, which was a career high by 9. His previous high was 39. So to say that, to ride a 2-goal tandem to the best record in history and then change that once you get there, I understand nobody's really run that to a cup, having 2 goalies start, but that's how this team was great. So trying to lean on Linus, I think, really hurt, and sticking with him when he was injured. And fading in games 5 and 6, I think ultimately that doomed them, and the coach is definitely taking some heat on that and some other decisions.
Michael, did Patrice Bergeron play his final game?
I think so. It's kind of been that way all year. Going back to the end of last year, it felt like he might retire last year. So this did feel like one more go at it, one more kick at the can. David Krejci came back from the Czech Republic to play with him. Guys were open about it. Win this for Bergie. He had everyone in the whole locker room was behind that, and I don't think they do that unless they know that it's the end. And he's not going to make it about himself after a team loss, but I do think they all know, and he knows that was his final season, because he's only 37, which we know you can play in the NHL a lot longer than that, but he debuted in 2003. It's been quite some time. He's had the injuries. Now he has a herniated disc in his back. I do think this is the time that he steps away while he's still relatively healthy and relatively young. So just a shame of a way for a guy like that to go out for sure.
All season long, the Bruins only lost 6 times at home, and then they go 1-3 at home in this series. That was one of the more mind-boggling stats for me.
Yeah, that, and I would throw in during the whole 82-game regular season, they lost 3 in a row once. It was in late January at Florida, at Tampa, and at Carolina. And then they lose 3 in a row here, and 2 of them are on home ice. It's unbelievable. And again, I didn't think they were as good as the record suggested, but they did always find a way to win. And there was something to that. There was something to this group. There was something to the mesh, to the just the chemistry they had. Every move Don Sweeney made seemed to work. You from minor ones like swapping out Eric Holla for Pavel Zacha to the trade deadline acquisitions. I thought they were all perfect. Bertuzzi fit in perfectly. Garnet Hathaway gave them much needed toughness. And even despite that, Matthew Tkachuk just, I think, outclassed them in every department, in scoring, in grit, in agitation. And this Bruins team kind of got pushed around at the end of the day by a star player. And I didn't think one player would be good enough to do that to him. But I give Matthew Tkachuk all the credit in the world for this series.
Yeah, Orlov was a good pickup as well. What was Ullmark's injury, Michael? Because I know it goes back to early mid-April.
Yeah, it's unspecified. We're guessing groin midsection somewhere. It was late in the year. He left a game after the second period and didn't come back, didn't play the next game, and they downplayed it like they do. I'm going to guess there's some sort of groin strain because he just wasn't the same goalie. He was, we all know his history. He has not been great. He's been a good goalie, But this year, October, he starts hot. Everyone says, all right, wait it out. November, he's still the best goalie. December, so wire to wire, he's the best goalie in the league. So to fade this much, he just wasn't the same. And it was noticeable watching Game 7. Jeremy Swayman was so much more active, trying to look around screens, trying to use his legs to his advantage. Obviously didn't help on the game winner, but I do think he was out of gas, out of, just a physical ability, and having maybe a week and a half to rest might have been a huge difference. And instead, they tried to lean on him a little bit too much.
Well, given that injury situation with Ullmark, I could see why people are all over Jim Montgomery. Where do the Bruins go from here? Michael, we mentioned all the pickups. They gave up a lot of draft picks. What's in the future?
I think it's looking tough, to be honest with you. And they mortgaged a bit of their future. They don't have a first-round draft pick. Don Sweeney has never been hesitant to trade first- and second-round draft picks. So they are low on draft capital. They also manipulated the salary cap a little bit to get Bergeron and Krejci back in. They had tiny cap hits this year and pushed a lot of bonus money into next year that's going to count against the cap. So it's going to be tough to replace those guys if you're not able to pay guys the way that that they will demand. So I don't know. Maybe they re-sign Bertuzzi and make a top line with him and Zacha and Pasternak. But honestly, this team kind of had all the pieces needed, and it seemed to be a sort of all-in year. So if we're going from 135 points to next year, it's going to be a drop-off. I don't think the Bruins will ever be, irrelevant in this ownership and management era. But I do think they're in for a steep drop-off after this year.
Wow. Michael, that's what the Bruins get for knocking off the Canucks back in 2011. You've got what you deserved.
You got it.
Absolutely. I understand. It's funny. That sort of started what could have been really a great run. I had this with the 2019 Game 7 at home, not showing up to that. Game 7 with a lead against Florida. The end of this Bruins run didn't quite live up to the start of it from 2011. So it's too bad here in Boston. I'm sure there's no tears being shed out there in Vancouver.
Nope. Well, no, but you talk about a disappointing run. Canuck fans would take the run that the Bruins have had. Hey, Michael, thanks so much for this. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Nice talking with you.